Hello everyone, I am Dr. Dipti Dhere and today I am going to introduce a new branch of microbiology for you, that is environmental microbiology. Then learning objective for today's lecture is to know about environmental microbiology, specifically air microbiology, air as a medium and source of microorganism in air. Environmental microbiology, it is a branch of microbiology. It is a branch which deals with the study of environment. This discipline includes air microbiology, soil microbiology and water microbiology. Environmental microbiology is the study of composition, physiology of microbial communities in the environment. The environment in this case means the soil, water and air and sediment covering the planet, and also include the animals and plants that inhabit these areas. All microbiological aspects that direct or indirectly connected with the environment are included in the environmental microbiology. So in this diagram you can see that environmental microbiology, it covers wide aspects which includes hazardous waste management, that is hazardous waste, bioremediation, then aquatic microbiology, water quality, then diagnostic microbiology, food safety, occupational health and infection control, then industrial microbiology, soil microbiology, biotechnology and aeromicrobiology. So all the fields which directly or indirectly these are connected with the environment, they are studied under the environmental microbiology. But specifically soil microbiology, water microbiology and air microbiology, these are the three main components of the environmental microbiology. Then air microbiology. Air microbiology is the scientific discipline that concern the microorganism including bacteria, archaea, fungi and viruses in the atmospheric air. It is a subdiscipline of environmental microbiology. Air microbiology is also called as aeromicrobiology. Aeromicrobiology is the study of living microbes which are suspended in the air. These microbes are referred to as bioaerosols. Then composition of air. Air consists of different gases or the mixture of permanent gases and variable quantity of water, solid particles. So air has following components which are indicated as given in the table as well as in the pie chart, which includes nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, neon, krypton, helium, xenon, ozone and water vapor, out of which ozone and water vapor, they are in variable quantity, while maximum concentration of nitrogen, it is present in air followed by the oxygen. Then air as a medium. Earth atmosphere is teeming with the microorganism, that is completely full with the microorganism. These microorganisms thought to exhibit correlation with the air pollution and weather. Most airborne bacteria originate from natural sources such as soil, lakes, oceans, animals and humans. Many unnatural origins are known such as sewage treatment, animal rendering, fermentation processes and agricultural activities which disturb the soil. Viable airborne microorganisms are not air pollutants but should be considered as a factor affecting the quality of air. Air is an unfavorable environment for microorganisms in which they cannot grow, they cannot divide. It is merely a place where they are temporarily occupy a place and use this air for movement. There are three elements or three elementary factors which are called as the limiting factors in the air. First is a lack of adequate nutrients. Second is frequent deficit of water. that is dry desiccating conditions are present in water, then solar radiations. So these three factors make the air unfavorable for the growth of microorganisms. Air is not a natural environment for microorganisms as it does not contain enough moisture. For microorganisms to grow, they need water activity in the form of moisture or in the form of aqueous medium. But in air, dry dehydrating conditions are present, followed by the solar radiation. And that's why microorganisms, they cannot grow in air. Along with this, air, it do not have any kind of nutrient to support the growth of microorganisms. Air is not a medium where microorganism can grow, but it is only a transport medium. So this is only a transport medium by which microorganism can be transported from one place to the another place and from one medium to the another medium. The atmosphere can be occupied for a longest time by those forms which are resistant to the desiccation and solar radiation due to their chemical composition or structure. They can be subdivided into the following groups: the bacterial resting form, bacterial vegetative forms which produce carotenoid dye or spatial protective layers, which includes capsule, special structure of cell wall, then spores of fungi and viruses with the envelope. So all these are the protective condition due to which microorganism can remain protected in the air instead of unfavorable conditions. Then what are bacterial resting forms? So the endospores are the resting form of bacteria. The bacteria produces endospore in unfavorable condition where it cannot grow. These structures evolve within the cell and are covered by thick multilayered casein. They are most resistant to the desiccation, solar radiation and lack of nutrient. So it is a resistant structure. Another type of resting form is produced by very common soil bacteria, the actinomycetes. It is called as a conidia. So here the structure of endospore is shown in the diagram, where there is a core which consists of all necessary molecular entities which are required for the development of cell. When endospore, it will germinate in the favorable condition, while the outer part, it is a resistant structure which resists to the environmental condition, and due to which the inner core, it remain protected. Then resistant vegetative cells of bacteria. Production of carotenoid dyes ensure the cell with the solar radiation protection. So carotenoids are the chemical compounds which are secreted by the many of the bacteria, which help the bacteria to resist the dry desiccating condition as well as unfavorable conditions. Carotenoids, due to the presence of numerous double bonds within the molecule, serve a purpose as a antioxidant because as a strong reducing agent. They are oxidized by free radicals. So these carotenoids, they are protective layer. They protect against the sunlight, against the harsh environmental condition, as well as these carotenoids, they are having antioxidant activity. And that's why they can protect many vegetative cells which can produce the carotenoid molecules. Then consequently, important biological macromolecules are being protected against the oxidation, which include DNA and proteins. Bacteria devoid of these dyes quickly perish due to the photodynamic effect or photooxidation. That explain why the colonies of bacteria which settle up on agar plates are often colored. When we carry out any sampling of the air, at that time maximum time we get the colored colonies as shown in the diagram. We get the colored colonies because color producing or the carotenoid producing microorganism, they can survive for a longer period of time in the air, and that's why we can isolate them on the air sampling. The ability to produce carotenoid is possessed especially by the cocci and rod shaped actinomycetes. Then fungal spores, like bacteria, fungi, they also produces the spores. They are called as a fungal spores. Spores are special reproductive cell used for the asexual reproduction. Fungal spore, they are meant for the asexual reproduction. When these fungal spore they germinate, they produce new mycelium or new cells of the fungi. Fungi produces spore in astronomical quantities. For example, giant puffball, that is Calvatia gigantea, produces 20 billion spores which get into the air and are dispersed over the vast areas. A very common type of spore found in air, that of the conidia. The spores of common mold fungi such as Penicillium and Aspergillus are example of the above. So in this diagram you can see there are the fungal spore, and these are also having certain protective layer, and due to which they can resist the dry desiccating condition, and they can get transported to a longer distance with the air current due to their light weight. Then resistant viruses. Viruses, they are of two types based on the presence of enveloped viruses and the non-enveloped viruses. Beside the cell, the air also occupied by the viruses. Among those that demonstrate the highest resistant are those with the enveloped nucleocapsid such as influenza viruses. Beside previously mentioned resistant form, the air is also occupied by the more sensitive cells and viruses, but their survival is much shorter. So the enveloped viruses, they are protected with the envelope, and that's why they can remain for a longer period of time in the air, while non-enveloped viruses, they are sensitive for the environmental condition, and that's why their survival period in the air, it is very short. Then sources of microorganism in air. Air is not an indigenous source of microorganism. Air, it is not a basic source of microorganism, but it is a transport medium. The air microorganisms are added by different sources. In air, microorganisms are added by soil, water, vegetation, human and animal activities. Then biological aerosol. Microorganisms in air occur in the form of colloidal system or the so-called bioaerosol. In case of the biological aerosol, it is the air that has a function of dispersion medium, whereas microorganisms are its dispersed phase. Microorganisms rarely occur independently in the air. Usually they are bound with the dust particle or liquid droplet in the form of water, saliva or any other liquid molecule. Thus the particle of the bioaerosol often exceed the microorganism in the size and may occur in two phases, that is dust phase, that which can be called as a or example of which is the bacterial dust, or droplet phase which is the moist phase. The dust particles are usually larger than the droplets and they settle faster because due to their very small size. The difference in their ability to penetrate the respiratory tract is dependent on the size of particle. Small is the size, deeper they can penetrate into the respiratory tract. If they have larger size, they can be trapped into the upper respiratory tract or the in nasal cavity due to their large size. There are several factors which include or which influence the ability of bioaerosol to survive in the air, which include particular resistant for a given microorganism, that is morphological characteristics such as a spore or outer protective layers, then meteorological conditions, environmental conditions such as air, humidity and solar radiation. If air humidity is very less, dry desiccating conditions are present, then microorganisms they cannot survive for a longer time. For example, such as in the summer season, while if the air humidity it is more, like in rainy season, the microorganism they can grow faster because they have lots of moisture available for their growth, as well as air pollution and the length of time in air. Then there are two basic sources of bioaerosol: natural soil, water and vegetation related to the human activities. The natural sources are mainly soil and water, from which microorganisms are being lifted up by the movement of air, and from organisms such as fungi that produces gigantic amount of spores that are dispersed by the wind. Therefore, there are always given number of microorganisms in the air as a natural background. It is estimated that the air is considered to be clean if the concentration of bacteria and fungi cell does not exceed 1000 cells per cubic meter and 3000 cells per cubic meter respectively. It is only true when concentration of microorganism consists of saprophytic organism and not the pathogenic organism. If the concentration of microorganism in air exceed above the value or contains microorganism dangerous to human, then such air is considered as a microbiologically polluted. From the hygiene point of view, living source of bioaerosol related to the human activity are more important than the natural sources. The emission from these sources are dangerous due to the following reasons or given reason. They include: they may distribute pathogenic microorganisms. They often cause a high increase of microorganisms in the air, significantly exceeding the natural background. The most important source of bioaerosol emission are agriculture and farming, food industry, then sewage treatment plant and waste management. Then agriculture and food farming industry. It also play an important role. This is the biggest source of bioaerosol emission. Aerosol are created during almost all type of agricultural work, that is harvest, transport, storing, plant and animal material processing and in animal breeding facilities. The significant danger to the human health are brought about by the vast number of microorganisms, their products of their decomposition and of the organic dust, which have an allergic and toxic effect. The presence of infectious microorganism is less significant here. The most important component of the aerosol are mold, fungus, which include Aspergillus, Penicillium and Cladosporium, also Alternaria and gram-negative Chromobacteria, mainly of the genus Erwinia, thermophilic actinomycetes, dust of biological origin and other things, which include particles of skin, feathers, droppings and plant dust. Contact with such aerosol may often bring about the chronic diseases of the respiratory system, the allergic inflammation of the pulmonary alveoli. It is said that there is an exceptional health risk when over 50% of aerosols belong to the respirable fraction and bioaerosol concentration exceed 105 coliforming unit per cubic meter. The above quantity is often exceeded 100 times. For example, in the pin sticks, broiler house and granaries. Then wastewater treatment, it is also a source of microorganism. The biggest emission of microorganism it can happen in the wastewater treatment, because wastewater itself it has lots of number of microorganisms. Moreover, a strong emission may be also observed during the sewage treatment, sewage purification in soil and sprinkling beds. Significant air pollution may occur in case or in areas stated above, which may even exceed the level of background concentration. The following are some of the characteristics of the microorganism present in the bioaerosol and the sewage treatment. Intestinal bacteria, which are mainly enterobacterial species, include those of the coliforms, that is Salmonella, Shigella, hemolytic bacteria mainly Streptococcus and Staphylococcus, Pseudomonas bacteria, yeast such as Candida albicans and the Cryptococcus. Then dermatophytes, surface which are responsible for the surface mycosis inducing fungus or microsporum and trichophyton. Then protozoa, eggs of worms, intestinal viruses, enteroviruses and reoviruses. So these are the main sources of microorganism in the air. Then we can summarize this topic with the environmental microbiology is the scientific study of microorganism in the environment. This discipline include air microbiology, soil microbiology and the water microbiology. The air is unfavorable medium for the growth and reproduction of microorganism, and that's why it is only a transport medium from which microorganism they can be transported from one place to the another place. The limiting factors in the air for the growth of microorganism are lack of adequate nutrient, frequent deficit of water and solar radiation. In the air, microorganisms are added by different sources. These sources are soil, water, vegetation, human and animals. Microorganisms in air occur in the form of colloidal system or the so-called bioaerosol. In the air, resistant microorganisms can stay. They can. They are endospore, fungal spore, conoidea, resistant vegetative cells of bacteria and enveloped viruses. So this is all about the environmental microbiology, introduction of air microbiology and the sources of microorganisms in the air. So thank you very much.